Leamaneh Castle, the true horror history of Red Mary, Ireland's most feared haunted castle. In the lonely heart of County Clare, where the winds of the burn whistle through broken stone walls, stands a castle whose silence hides centuries of bloodshed. Locals say that when darkness falls over Leamaneh Castle, the ruins are no longer empty. A woman with flaming red hair walks the shattered halls, her footsteps echoing across the ancient stones. She is known simply as Red Mary, and many believe she never truly left. The Forgotten Fortress. On the rugged edge of the burn in County Clare stand the haunting ruins of Leamaneh Castle, one of Ireland's most mysterious medieval strongholds. Built during the late 15th century by the powerful O'Brien dynasty, the castle occupied a strategic crossroads connecting several ancient territories. Its name, believed to come from the Irish phrase meaning, "the horse's leap," hints at legends far older than the castle itself. For centuries, warriors, nobles, and soldiers passed beneath its towers, but none would leave a darker mark on Irish history than one extraordinary woman, Máire Rua MacMahon, forever remembered as Red Mary. Even today, Leamaneh Castle stands roofless against the Irish sky, its broken windows staring over the barren limestone landscape like empty eyes. The surrounding countryside is eerily quiet. Ravens circle overhead, and cold winds whistle through cracked stone walls. Visitors often describe the place as unnaturally silent, as though the castle itself refuses to forget the horrors that unfolded within. The woman called Red Mary. Máire Rua MacMahon was born around 1615 into one of County Clare's noble families. Her nickname, Rua, meaning red, came from her striking flame-colored hair. Unlike many women of her era, Mary was wealthy, intelligent, politically astute, and determined to survive during one of Ireland's bloodiest centuries. Her first husband, Daniel Nealon, died young, leaving her with substantial wealth. Soon afterward, she married Conor O'Brien, heir to Leamaneh Castle. Together they transformed the old defensive tower into one of Ireland's grandest manor houses by adding a magnificent four-story mansion beside the medieval keep. At the height of its glory, Leamaneh was among the finest residences in 17th-century Ireland. Yet prosperity arrived during civil war. Ireland engulfed in blood. The 1640s and 1650s were years of devastation throughout Ireland. The Irish Confederate Wars and the invasion led by Oliver Cromwell tore the country apart. Castles burned, families were destroyed, and loyalties shifted constantly. Conor O'Brien fought against Cromwell's advancing forces. Historical records show he was mortally wounded during fighting at Inchichronan in 1651. Faced with losing everything, Mary made an astonishing political decision. She married Cromwellian officer Cornet John Cooper, a marriage that likely preserved her lands from confiscation under English rule. This strategic choice ensured that Leamaneh Castle remained under her family's control, but it also earned her enemies on every side. To some, she was a brilliant survivor. To others, she became a traitor. The birth of a dark reputation. It is here that documented history begins to merge with folklore. Over generations, stories spread across County Clare describing Red Mary as a ruthless landowner who ruled through fear. Servants supposedly trembled whenever she entered a room. Some legends claim that workers who displeased her simply disappeared. Others insisted she hanged servants from the castle walls or ordered harsh punishments for the slightest mistake. There are no surviving historical records confirming these murders. These stories belong to Irish folklore rather than verified history. Nevertheless, they became deeply rooted in local tradition and helped transform Máire Rua into one of Ireland's most feared legendary figures. 25 husbands, or just a legend? Perhaps the most famous legend surrounding Red Mary claims she married not merely 3 husbands, as historical records support, but 25 more. According to the tale, each marriage lasted only a year and a day. Once the husband's usefulness ended, terrible things supposedly happened. Some stories say she divorced them. Others claim they vanished forever inside Leamaneh Castle. Historians find no evidence supporting these extraordinary claims. They are almost certainly exaggerations created over centuries of oral storytelling. Yet these tales spread throughout Ireland until Red Mary became a symbol of ruthless ambition and supernatural power. The strange death of Red Mary. Even Mary's death remains wrapped in mystery. Historical evidence strongly suggests she died naturally around 1686, probably in her 70s, and was likely buried at Ennis Abbey. However, folklore tells far darker stories. One legend claims that enemies captured her and imprisoned her inside the hollow trunk of an ancient tree, leaving her to die slowly from starvation. Another says she was dragged to an ancient druid altar and executed. Yet another insists she was thrown from horseback into the fork of a great tree where she remained trapped until death. None of these stories can be verified, but together they transformed her final days into one of Ireland's most chilling legends. The ghost that refuses to leave. Whether Red Mary died peacefully or violently, locals insist her spirit never escaped Leamaneh Castle. For generations, travelers have claimed to see a woman with long red hair walking through the ruined mansion after sunset. She is usually dressed in dark 17th-century clothing, silently wandering corridors that no longer exist. Some witnesses describe her as beautiful yet terrifying. Others say her face appears skeletal. Several accounts claim she simply disappears into solid stone. These reports remain part of local folklore rather than documented fact, but they have persisted for centuries. The sounds in the darkness. Paranormal stories surrounding Leamaneh extend beyond ghostly apparitions. Visitors have reported hearing unexplained footsteps echoing through empty rooms. Others describe distant female laughter carried by the wind. Some claim blood-curdling screams emerge from the ruins during violent storms before suddenly falling silent. Late-night motorists occasionally report sensing someone watching them from the broken upper windows, despite the castle standing abandoned for more than 2 centuries. No scientific evidence confirms these experiences, yet they continue to be shared by locals and visitors alike. The Phantom Horse. Among the strangest legends is that of Red Mary's ghostly horse. Witnesses claim that during stormy nights, the sound of galloping hooves races along the old roads surrounding Leamaneh Castle. Some describe seeing a pale horse carrying a woman dressed in 17th-century clothing before both rider and animal vanish into darkness without leaving tracks. Whether imagination, folklore, or something unexplained, the phantom rider has become another enduring part of Leamaneh's haunted reputation. History or horror? Modern historians generally agree that Máire Rua was a remarkably capable noblewoman who navigated one of Ireland's most dangerous periods through wealth, intelligence, and political alliances. Much of the extreme cruelty associated with her likely grew through generations of folklore rather than documented evidence. Yet folklore has a life of its own. For nearly 4 centuries, Red Mary's name has inspired fear across County Clare. Every broken stone of Leamaneh Castle seems to preserve another whispered tale. Every gust of wind through its empty windows sounds like a forgotten voice from Ireland's turbulent past. Closing. Today, Leamaneh Castle remains one of Ireland's most atmospheric ruins. Standing alone amid the stark limestone landscape of the Burn, it attracts historians, photographers, ghost hunters, and curious travelers from around the world. Perhaps Red Mary was simply a survivor of war whose story became distorted over time. Perhaps the ghost stories are only legends born from centuries of imagination. Or perhaps, when the moon rises over the silent ruins and the ravens fall quiet, a woman with blazing red hair still walks the shattered halls, searching endlessly for the castle she once ruled. If you ever visit Leamaneh Castle after sunset, listen carefully. If you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around.